get that done for you. So remember, if you need to, in Haiku, I have the videos posted. For some reason, Haiku's not working. I also have them posted on my Weebly. Both of those are now connected to, if you go to the Talkwitz homepage and you find my name to link to it, they're both linked there. I also asked Mr. Wolf if he would put the Haiku link on the Talkwitz page. Once you get that at home, though, get it, bookmark Haiku, right? Because that's how we run. So that, and you probably have more than one teacher running out of there. So you just log into that, and it takes you to everything you need. All right. So we've seen the quadratic formula before. This is not a new thing for us, right? We have, let's see if I've got mine up. I do. We have that, let me get this going. Okay. So, I've got a story to go with this one. You ready for it? Yeah. Okay, so, and we're going to write the formula as we hear the story. We've got a negative b. Okay. He's got a plus or minus chance. Oh, it went really fast. Going to a really radical party, right? Plus or minus chance of going to a really radical party. When he got to the party, the bees were square dancing. At the card table, they lost 4 aces, or 4 aces. The party was all over. 2 a.m. Okay. I didn't make it up. I borrowed it from a teacher when I first started teaching. So, A is the number in front of the x squared. B is the number in front of the x. C is the constant. So the reason we would use this is we've been solving quadratics since almost day 1 in here. If I can't factor it, first of all, if I'm going to quadratics and I want to solve something, I'm going to try to factor it first because I know that that's the quickest and easiest. I have 2 other options beyond that if it doesn't factor. I can complete the square, which most people don't like very well as far as solving, or I can do the quadratic formula. Most of us go to quadratic formula second. If we're having trouble with that, then we go to completing the square. Okay? You need to know both completing the square and quadratic formula because I am going to look at your work on the next test, and I'm going to say, do this one by completing the square. And if you do it by quadratic formula, even if you get it right, I'm giving you no points on it. Okay? So make sure you know both methods. All right. So we're going to solve the problem by quadratic formula. Remember, A is in front, B is in the middle, C is at the back. It has to be equal to what? 0, or it doesn't work. Okay? So you have to get it equal to 0 first. So we're going to do x equals, what's my b value? 3. So I put a negative in front of it because of the formula. Plus or minus square root because of the formula. What's going in next? I'm going to write out the work, but I'm okay if you put a 9. So 3 squared minus what? 4 times 1, the number in front, times what? Negative 2. All over 2 times 1. And I know some of you are going to take a few shortcuts somewhere and do some of the arithmetic in your head. I'm okay with some of that. But you guys, if you want me to give you partial credit on it, if you mess up the arithmetic somewhere, I need to see where you plugged into the formula. Okay? All right. So, we've got negative b plus or minus square root of, I've got 9. What's negative 4 times 1 times negative 2?
Negative 8.
Do we agree with that?
No. Yeah.
Positive 8. There we go. All over 2. All right. So we've got negative 3 plus or minus square root of what under the radical?
17.
Can I do anything else with it?
No.
Does that 17 break down at all?
No.
Nope. And I'm okay if you leave it like that. The book could do this to us. Something like that. That's okay too. Okay, so make sure you're aware that these 2 answers are the same.
What does the thing in the middle say?
Plus or minus.
Oh, that's what that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try it. Let's see how many we got here. Let's try it again together. Okay. Actually, I want you to try that one on your own. You've done quadratic formula enough. See if you can get that one done. Or how far you can get with it. Get it at least plugged in. Yeah, the numbers are big. You have calculators today, right? All right, let's check it. What's going to go in here for the b, everybody?
Positive 30.
Double negative's going to go positive. Okay, and then what's going to go in here? Negative 30 squared or 900. Okay, we'll do that part in a second. What's going in for my a? 25. And what's going in for my c? 9. And then for my a again? 25. All right, so we've got 30 plus or minus. We already said that this is going to be 900. Minus, what's this thing right here turn out to be? 900 again, all over what? 50. What's 900 minus 900? That's going to go away. I've got 30 over 50, or what?
3 over 5.
3 over 5. And you know what? That one came out to be a nice, pretty number. Guess what? This would have factored. Okay? So when we can factor it, is quadratic formula the best way to go? No. Our numbers look kind of big, though, right? With our numbers being big, it might be harder to factor, so maybe quadratic formula is the way to go, because you can use your calculator and get this to the same answer when you're solving. Okay? And again, it's only solving that we can use the quadratic, use it in place of factoring. Okay? If they want us to just factor, we got to factor. All right, let's try this again. All right. So x equals negative, what's your b value in this one? 4 plus or minus square root of, what's going to go next?
4 squared.
4 squared minus 4 times,
1.
is it just 1?
-5.
Negative 1, that's important. Times negative 5 all over 2 times negative 1. Good. Okay, what's 4 squared? 16. Negative 4 times negative 1 times negative 5 is?
Negative 20.
Negative 20. Good. All over?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So negative 4 plus or minus square root of, what's 16 minus 20?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. All right. See a negative under a radical sign. What did we learn to do last week?
Take your eyes out.
Pluck your eyes out. What's the square root of 4? 2. Okay, there are 2 ways we could do this from here. Okay? I could factor a 2 out or a negative 2 out of the top, or we can write it as negative 4 over negative 2 plus or minus 2i over negative 2. What's going to happen with this double negative?
Cancel out.
Going to cancel out. What's 4 over 2? 2. And then here, what this does to this thing here is, doesn't it flip the signs?
Yeah.
So it would flip it to minus plus. Is that any different than plus minus? No. So can't I just leave it as plus minus? And then I get what left behind? I. So it's up to you. I think it's probably splitting the fraction. More people went that way last year rather than me trying to factor something out. Okay? But either way is fine. What's wrong?
How would you multiply the 4ac part? 'Cause,
How do I multiply that?
yeah, like from
What's it?
from left to right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It's not going to give you any different answer no matter which way you go. Multiplication's commutative.
Oh,
Okay? All right. Let's see. This one here, what's different about this one?
it's not equal to 0.
It's not equal to 0. Okay, so I got to get it equal to 0. I'm going to choose not to put a negative lead on there, so I'm going to move both of these guys to the other side. So how am I going to move the 6? Good. And how are we going to move the 4? All right. Everybody from there, I want you to try it. So everybody's going to try example 4 on their own. All right. Double check what I wrote down. Do you agree with it?
Yes.
This is a 1 in here. Do we agree with it?
Yes.
Yes? No?
Yes.
All right. Double negative is going to go what here? Positive. Good. So we've got 6 plus or minus square root of what?
36.
Minus
16.
16 all over
2.
2. All right. What's 36 minus 16?
20.
20. Ooh, we have to simplify that 20, right? That was kind of a new little step in this one. So, the biggest square number that goes into 20 is what? 10 is not, neither 10 nor 2 is a square number. 4 and 5. Remember, if we're doing a radical, we have to be in that column, that middle column up at the front of the room, right? Where it says square. Skip the 1 from there on down. All right, what's the square root of 4? 2. So we've got 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 5 over 2. Now, that's not simplified all the way. That's not likely what you're going to find. So probably what we would want to do is the same thing we did in the last one. Split it into 2 fractions. So what's this first part reduced to? 3. And here your 2's are going to go away, so plus or minus square root of 5. You guys, if you got it here, if the problem was worth 5 points, you would have gotten 4 out of the 5 probably. Okay, so that gets you most of your points. All right, let's try one more here. We're going to probably skip 6. So if you need the extra room for 5, you can use the example 6 space, okay? So I'm going to put them in order, and I'm going to combine like terms at the same time. So I'm going to start with this negative 5x squared in front. What am I going to do to move the 2? So 7x minus 2x is what, everybody? And then I'm going to move the 3. How do we move the 3? Subtract. Negative 4 and negative 3 is? Good. And the whole point was to get it equal to 0, so we could use the quadratic formula to solve it. Okay, so x equals negative, what's the b value?
5.
Good. Plus or minus square root of, what's going to go next?
5 squared.
Okay, minus 4 times negative 5 times.
-7.
Does it matter if I mess up the order on those? If I swapped the 5 and the 7, would it be okay?
Yes.
Yeah, multiplication's commutative, so it does not matter the order on that. 2 times what for your A? 7, everybody? Oh, no, wait. It's not 7. It's 5, thank you. Negative 5 even. All right, here we go. So negative 5 plus or minus square root of, what's 5 squared?
25.
25. Let's see, negative 4 times 5 is 20, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's 20 times negative 7?
140.
There you go. I always try to get it to a 10, right? 10 is easy to work with, so some kind of 0 at the end is always nice. All right, 2 times negative 5 is? Negative 10, good. All right, and again, you do have calculators if you need help with your arithmetic. What's 25 minus 140?
Negative 115.
Okay. When I see a negative under a radical, what do we have to do? Pluck your eyes out. Is there a square number that goes into 115? The only one I would check might be 25, and 25 doesn't go in there, 125 does, right? Yeah. So we know that nothing goes in there. That might be an okay answer, but I could simplify this front part, so that might be an answer choice. We might also see if I did the split up thing, right? This is going to go positive. What would that reduce to? 1/2. And remember, this negative makes it minus plus, which is the same as plus minus. You might see this. Oops. Over 10. Or you might see the I at the back. They might write it like square root of 115 over 10I. It just depends on who the author of the test is. So all of these are correct answers in my eyes. Okay? You could probably even leave it like this, and I'd probably give you credit for it. Okay, so all 4 of those are fine. All right. If it's a free response, you can stop where you want. Okay, in fact, stop at the first one because then you make less mistakes, right? But if it's multiple choice, you kind of got to make sure you know them all. All right. Okay, I said we would skip 6. Let's go to that second page and talk about the discriminant. So go ahead and fill in the blanks. Okay, so the discriminant is the part under the radical sign. So basically it's the b squared minus 4ac. So there's nothing else to memorize. You already know it, okay? And by the way, for quadratic formula, you have to know the formula. It's not going to be anywhere for you on the test. So you have to have it memorized by Tuesday, okay? Hopefully you know it, right? Because we've been doing this for the last like 2 or 3 years. We've known the quadratic formula. All right. So it's, we call that the discriminant. When you calculate the discriminant, you can tell how many and what type of solutions you will have. And that brings us to the next thing here. So we need to kind of fill in. If the discriminant is greater than 0, when we see greater than 0, that means the discriminant is positive. Okay, so you need to fill that in on the little chart. Is it filled in for you? I don't think it is it? No, you got to fill that in. It has 2 real solutions, meaning there's no eyes. Real solutions don't have eyes. And it looks like this. When we talk about a graph of it, and eventually we'll get to the graphs of quadratics, not yet. Okay, so don't freak out, we're not graphing yet. It would have 2 solutions, or the graph crosses the x-axis twice. Okay? If it exactly equals 0, it has 1 real solution. These are the ones when we factor them, we get x squared minus 2 squared. It's one of the ones that's super cool. It bounces off. Okay, so it has only 1 time where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, and we'll definitely get more into that in a few weeks. If it is less than 0, if greater than 0 is positive, what's less than 0? Negative. So if you get a negative number, then we have 2 imaginary solutions, meaning there's eyes. And you're not going to cross the x-axis, meaning it's going to be up here pointing up or it's going to be down here pointing down. Okay, on the graph. All right. What?
It depends if it's positive or negative.
For the discriminant?
If it's going down.
It depends on what the leading coefficient, if the leading coefficient's positive or negative, whether it opens up or opens down. We'll get more into that in a couple weeks. Okay? All right. Because we're not doing graphs yet. All right, so we got to do the discriminant, give the number and type of solution. So all I need to do is b squared minus 4ac. Remember, it's still in order, a, b, c. Okay, so what's your b value? Negative 8 squared minus 4 times what's the a? 1 times what's the c?
17.
You do have a calculator if you need to do it, okay, on there. You can use your scratch pad if you want. What's negative 8 squared?
64.
4 times 1 times 17. 64 minus 68. So they asked us for a bunch of things. It said find the discriminant. The discriminant is negative 4. Now it says give the number and type of solutions. So if we go back to that chart that was on the last slide. Okay, I got a negative. So how many and what type of solutions? 2 imaginary. So that's what you would write down as 2 imaginary solutions. Excuse me. All right, let's try this again. All right, so we have, what's your b value?
Negative 8.
Negative 8, we're going to square it. Minus 4 times what's a?
1.
Times what's c? 16. All right, what's negative 8 squared? Good. 4 times 1 times 16. 64 minus 64 is?
0.
0. So the value of your discriminant is 0. How many and what type of solution?
1 real.
1 real solution. Okay. Let's try 9 together, and then I'm going to have you do 1 on your own here. Okay. So what is your B this time? -8. So they basically took the same problem and played with it a few times, right? -4 times what's A? 1. What's B? 15. So -8 squared again is? Good. Minus what's 4 times 1 times 15? 64 minus 60 is? 4. How many and what type?
2 real solutions.
Why is it 2 real?
Positive.
We got a positive answer. All right, just to make sure you've got this, try example 10. Ooh, what does example 10 into B get equal to first?
0.
So move your 5 and then find the discriminant. Everybody try it. All we're going to do is 10. We're going to stop there, okay? All right, let's check it together. Zachary, what's your B value? 2, so -2 squared minus 4. Let's see, Chris, what's the A value? 7, good. And then Augustine, what's the C value? Good. Okay, so what's -2 squared, everybody? 4. -4 times 7 times -5, what'd you get? 140. Well, 4 plus 140 is? Good. So that's the value of the discriminant. How many and what type of solution? 2 real solutions. Okay? So think about what's going to be on this test. We've got the multiplying stuff from the first day, right? We've got the about 4 or 5 different types of factoring, completing the square quadratic formula. You've got another week to get all that down so you can do really, really well on the first test. Okay? Homework for tonight.